many do you have?
Currently 7.
7.
Yeah. With some possibles.
Are you kidding?
But that's, again, we'll get to that later.
So 7 children and how many mamas? 5? 6?
Let's go 5. Let's say 5.
I mean, do you know?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting there counting, it's 5.
I know you have co-parenting relationships with all of them, obviously, but how many do you have romantic relationships with?
Consistently? Well, that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna be honest, I mean, like, obviously, kids keep coming, so it's like it's all of the. I mean, obviously, Mariah and I co-parent very well, so she and I are just we're really great friends, and she's kind of taught me so much. So like that's family. Yeah, that's
different.
family.
And you were married to her also, and that's a different kind of.
It's a different.
But
setup.
These other 5 or 6.
Now we got the 6, Doc. I like how we keep going up.
Well, I don't trust your 5.
Yeah.
So do you still do they all know that you're like, is it like a sister wife? Not that they're wives.
No, they don't. It's definitely not that. They don't want any parts of any polygamy.
But do they know that you're romantically or physically involved?
Yeah, I think they have to. I think
the
the world knows. I think
not necessarily. You could be co-parenting with, like, what I assumed at first was that you were co-parenting.
Yeah.
You know, not only with Mariah but with these other mothers, and maybe one of them, the most recent one, you were in a relationship with.
And I think that's what I struggle with, because even when I define relationship or love, and it's like, clearly, if I care for someone, if I have a child with someone, there has been intimacy,
yes.
and there probably will continue to be intimacy, because there's true authentic love there. And then we get into that question of like, well, how do you define love? Is it the choice? Is it the action? Is it the emotion? And, you know, in dealing, when you create a family, it's all of those things.
Yeah.
So to have to say, okay, because this is what I have struggled with, the co-parenting idea. Like, okay, we're just going to co-parent. And then you find yourself in these really, you know, nice, warm family environments.
And you want to really be in that family moment.
Yeah, and it's like you're proud of your children, and you want to do, and then you find yourself like, all right, well, what is this? What are we doing? How do we define this? You know, I have to do this in multiple spaces. So, I mean, you know, some of the women that I'm involved with deal with it better than others. I think they're all phenomenal. I think they're all confident and secure in themselves to even have to deal with a person like me.
There's a lot to deal with.
Yeah,
not you, but the situation.
In the public eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what happens at Valentine's Day?
The worst day ever created.
Wait, what do you do?
Can we? February only has 28 days. Can we turn it to 27? Can we just skip over February 14th?
So, and they all do, like, what do? Do you give them all the same thing?
I've done that and gotten raked over the coals for doing that. I mean, and not even purposely, because obviously I have a lot of people who work for me, you know, even though I make every decision, but I'm like, yo,
you're like, go get some flowers.
But if everyone gets the same flowers, balloons, teddy bears, and candy, and then you
gotta talk to your assistant.
Yeah, this horrible platform that was created years ago called Instagram, that where everyone feels like they have to show,
and they follow each other and see what you gave them.
They ghost follow each other. They create fake pages.
Okay, so
their friends tell them about what they saw on the other person's page.
But here's your problem, and I talk to women about this because I don't think women fully understand this, and you need to understand this too, that women are neurologically different than men in many ways.
Yes.
But sexually, when a woman has good sex, and I am guessing that you give these women good sex, and she has orgasms, when she has an orgasm, her brain gets washed with oxytocin, which is the chemical of attachment. Right. So even if she knows that you have all these other partnerships and relationships, and even if intellectually she knows she should be cool and not expect anything from you, when she has good sex with you, she gets chemically bonded. See, I've always
heard this rumor, but because it's like, you know, like, oh, he you know, I'm dickmatized is what it's called.
That's it, dickmatized. It's oxytocin. That's what breastfeeding mothers release to bond them to the baby.
Right.
It's the bonding chemical. And it happens to guys too, but you have so much testosterone that it sort of counteracts it.
Right.
So you having sex with all these women keeps them really emotionally feeling abandoned by you, feeling longing for you, all of that.
So therefore, when we met, and what I was actually attempting to do under the
Yes.
guidance of another therapist before we got a chance to start building, is I was told to withhold.
Yes,
I
be
was told,
celibate. When I met you, you were celibate.
Yes, and it was. I thought at first it was working, and I told the world. That probably was a problem. I probably shouldn't have told it, because then I felt like it was like this challenge
Yeah,
where
we
people
were all watching.
and then everybody was like, "I'm gonna make you break your celibacy."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Why would you want to do that?" But so what ended up happening, it got to this space where it wasn't healthy, because then it started bringing up all of these things of like, well, why are you doing this? Are you in it? And a lot of people in my life started making it like, well, is it me, or is it our connection? Or I'm like, no, I'm really doing this to, one, to be honest, keep the peace.
Yes.
You know, because then I can be like, I'm not having sex at all with anyone. And
I
then,
mean, can't you just have sex with someone who isn't one of your baby mamas, or pick
then
one?
then they want to become my baby mama too. That's the problem.
But can't you, like, what about birth control? Can't you just say
Yeah.
no?
Okay. Absolutely. And I will walk you through this process.
Yeah, walk me through
So, first of all, I'm not.
This is how irresistible Nick Cannon
No,
is,
no.
everybody.
When it comes to hygiene and all, I'm the biggest germ freak in
Yes,
the world.
yes.
Like, I will put on 2 condoms.
Right.
Like, if I don't know you, and I feel like, okay, and really probably this is part of the problem, because I'm such a germaphobe, and I'll go to the extent of like, yo, let's go to the doctor
Good,
together,
that's
and
good.
I get my blood taken, every 3 weeks because of my condition.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I'm like,
So
run
you're
it up.
all- yeah,
Tell
run-
me,
run
like,
all the STD
I want to know
panels.
all
Yeah.
of the panels. I want to know what bacteria I'm studying. I need to know everything, because that's how much of a germ freak
Yeah,
I am.
yeah.
So I'm really.
So that's why you like your little cadre of women whose history you know.
I know,
And are they
and-
not doing it with anyone else?
From what they tell me,
Are they allowed to?
if I feel like if I'm not fulfilling you, and there's a void in your life, please feel free to go.
That's a different answer than what I asked.
Because I don't have dominion or the authority to tell them what they're allowed.
But if
to
they
do.
were with someone else, it wouldn't mean necessarily you weren't satisfying them physically. It could be
or
that,
emotionally, I didn't say physically.
Yeah.
Because it's not a physical thing.
Yeah.
If there's something in your life, if there's a void in your life that I'm not fulfilling, you should go find it.
Right. And is there any consequence for that if she does?
I think there's a natural, and I'm gonna get back to my process, but
Yeah.
now
Sorry.
we made a left.
I'm just so fascinated.
Yeah,
I
I
have a lot
think
of
there
questions.
is definitely a natural, I won't even call it consequences, cause and effect. If I believe that you are solely for me, and there's certain energies that we'll share on that level, as soon as I know that there's someone else in play, and whether that's financially, whether that even emotionally, I'm going to say, oh, let me pull back so you can have an opportunity to grow
Yeah,
with that other
yeah.
person. And I've been deeply in love with people that actually occurred, and I stepped back and allowed that to happen, and now that person has flourished and is carrying on and has an
Yeah.
amazing relationship.
Yeah.
So I understand
But
that.
are there financial consequences?
Of course, but
Yeah.
hopefully I'm dealing with strong enough women and well-minded in the sense to where they were never really in it just for financial reasons.
No, of
anyway.
course not.
So,
but if they've gotten used to a certain
but if I
lifestyle-
buy a house,
Yeah.
and you feel like you need to have another man in your life, that man, I got that house. That house needs to become you and that man's house.
Right.
No longer my house.
Right.
So whatever financially, however that has to happen, hopefully you've chosen a man that can now do the same things or better that I could do for you.
They're not going to do that. Like,
Well, that's their fault.
But what about for your kids? Like,
Well, that's not.
wouldn't you like say to this mother, for instance, that we're talking, I don't know who we're, just hypothetical. I bought you this house for stability for our child or children. I'm not willing to commit to a monogamous relationship with you. I know that's what you want. I have put together what the child needs financially. You can have this house. Go on, and we'll co-parent together. And I hope,
I've had some fine examples, and I'm gonna give you my ultimate goal is to be in scenarios with women, specifically the mothers of my children, where they are so financially stable that they don't need me,
Yeah.
and that they can make the decisions
Yeah.
that they want to make. I want to build a woman up in a space to where one, I don't want you with me just because of my money or what I
No,
can do with you
never.
anyway. Then you're not really with me.
Yeah.
This is a business arrangement.
Well, they're not really with you for your money. They're really into you, but you're not willing to commit to them. So it's not that they don't want to be.
So therefore, and that goes all the way back around to the process of what I believe I have to offer, whether it's physically, spiritually. I know I can feed into you, and you can feed into me, so it should be a fair exchange.
Yeah.
So it's to say all of that, if it's not, again, if there's a void, if you are unhappy in any way, you can only define your own happiness. You can't be seeking it through me. So, and I have these conversations on many levels. So, but again, because I'm going back to this dickmatized thing, which I was,
go to the process.
Because that's probably the one thing
You're
that
dickmatizing them on that.
So if I'm having intercourse and it's compatible and the chemistry is great, hopefully you're not desiring it from anyone else. And in that sense, because of the processes that we've taken, and once we start and it's clean, we both know we're healthy and clean, and we start with condoms, and this woman is like, oh my God, there's a connection there. Then you want to get even deeper with the connection. So then you're like, wow, we've been doing this protected thing, and it's amazing for 3 to 6 months. And then life happens. You start spending the night over the person's house that, before it was like, I come in, I have the condom, we know where it is, it's on the bedstand. But then now you're taking showers together. Now you're waking up. Now that the condom is way in the other room.
And that's how the birth control gets left behind?
For me specifically. Or if someone is on, some kind of pill or whatever those processes are. Those things, then it becomes, oh, well, I'm on a pill, or I have an IUD or whatever, and then it's like, okay, then it's more casual. Then it's a stronger connection, obviously, because now you trust each other differently than you did.
Well, why don't you ask them all to get on birth control? And so are you saying that some of the pregnancies, so were most of these pregnancies unplanned?
I'd say that you're walking me into a dangerous territory, Doc.
Okay, you don't have to answer.
I'm never going to say that. This is what I say because
not that they weren't the most wonderful surprise.
I'm going to take full responsibility. Any woman that I know that I have unprotected sex with, it was the potential to have a child. Yeah. So I feel like if I have unprotected sex with anyone, I know, because one, I value everything about me so much that I was like, if I've gotten to that point where I can say I could take off this condom, I'm saying then she could be the mother of my child.
Boy, and your boys can swim because you just like
they come quickly.
Out there. Yeah.
So in that sense, I would say every woman that I have a child with, there has definitely been conversation about, wow, how amazing this would be. And I feel like every woman that I have a child with are amazing mothers. And there was a thought process in going to like, man, she would be an amazing mom, or yo, she's desired children. Oh, I can't wait to see what type of mother she would be. So in saying that, I would say that they're all playing.
And what do you do at holidays? Can they all come together?
First, this is the other crazy thing, and going back to Valentine's Day.
I really want to bring them all together.
But
please.
I hate holidays. Probably because of this process, but even growing up, I'm never like I come from a understanding and probably a little too what do they call it? Where this faux neo-intellectualism where I'm like, I hate anything that's established by the government. I hate
it's a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to use those terms. It's a pagan holiday. It's a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah. You've used that?
But that was used on me as a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From like my
Did you not have Christmas and things like that?
We did, but it was told that like this isn't the real meaning of Christ, and this is Jesus was actually born in September. Like about all of these things. Yeah. So growing up, I would hear those things, so then I started to regurgitate them and then be like, I don't like holidays, and I love the fact that they bring families closer together, but now they become stressful for me because in trying and attempting to bring
why can't they all come together? Maybe
I think all my children can come together.
Have they not?
Yeah, my kids, and that's no one has ever said that I can't be impressed.
But the women won't come together?
Yeah. I mean,
let's take Mariah out of the fray.
Yeah, because she ain't fucking with nobody.
No, she's not coming together with anybody.
In her castle.
Yeah, in her beautiful castle in the sky. And she's a queen.
Yes, exactly.
But the other ones, why can't we bring them all? I would be in such ecstasy
I've
sitting
tried
down
it.
with all of them.
I've
And what
tried
happens?
it. Some are more reluctant than others. Some are, all of them beautiful spirits. Some are more headstrong than others and don't want to be, looked at, because it's all about perception and therefore ego, because no one wants to look like, if you allow society to define it, then it makes some people think it's a weak thing. Some people think that it's almost a grotesque thing.
What, their position
Yeah,
in your
so
life?
they look
I
like they
don't
don't.
see that.
Others may, you know what I mean? If you start to pay attention to what's
No, but
being,
I'm just talking about like them with each other. Can't they come?
but that's what I think. They probably have
They
their
judge
guards
each-
up, and
yeah.
that's I kind of deal with this on a daily basis, because I challenge the ideas of like, why, like, if you take sex, and that's what I did for a few months.
Yeah.
Take sex off
Yeah.
of the table. Why can't I have a companionship or a friendship
Yeah,
with this
friendship.
person and this person and this person, and we
Yes.
all coexist?
Yes.
Like, what is it about us not being able? Like,
It would be so much easier
I have
if you
friends
didn't
from
have
all the
sex
way
with
back.
them.
Yeah, I can do that. I offer that up all the time. Like, all right, well, we just not gonna have sex.
No, if they're not going to say yes to that, you have to
And then
decide
it's like,
that.
if you're not having sex with me, then, and that's where it got to, is like, well, you're lying. You're not. You must be having. You're just not having sex with me because you want to have sex with me.
Yeah.
And then
But like, because you have these romantic and emotional and physical connections with these women, you haven't shifted from being in an actual relationship, sexual relationship with them, to being in a co-parent friendship with them.
I've tried it. I've tried it with everyone.
But you can't just try it by saying, I'm not going to have sex anymore.
Why not?
You have to try it by saying, I want to change the nature of our relationship.
But I mean, that comes with it, because if like
permanently.
And it's easy to say, look, let's just focus on our child or children.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening, like, you can do it for a year. And like, man, we've been co-parenting great for a year.
Yeah.
And then one good
you'll have a
one
bump
good
in the
night at
road.
Nobu and the sake gets going.
And you can't help
I
it.
mean, I don't drink, but
Yeah.
I think, but it's just whatever, that chemistry, whatever allows those endorphins to start flowing, and you get on a
So
higher.
you can't resist either.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
a lover.
You are.
I'm a hopeless romantic. You put me in the right environment with someone I have a child with, like, and I watch you be an amazing mother. Of course I'm attracted to you.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help but not. And then if you're
Well, you don't
attracted
have
to
to
me,
act on the attraction if you
How do
know
you
it's going
not
to
act on it?
complicate things later.
everything, life's complicated.
Well, so then,
It's
okay.
complicated already, and we're not having sex. Might as well enjoy ourselves. like,
I really want to get them all together. And
they admire you.
you would be in deep trouble.
No, because I'm
if
so open and honest.
If they all became friends.
No, I think that'd be amazing.
It would be amazing, but they would probably
That
gang
would
up on you a
challenge
little bit.
all of society's idealism.
That's my
and
fantasy, is that we get them to be all friends.
None of them have problems with each other.
Yeah.
They're such strong-willed women that they're not worried.
Wait, now what's going to happen now? Because when I was on the show, Marie Osmond was on there with you, and she was saying she was going to fix you. Like, you call yourself single.
I mean, what would you call me, Doc?
I would call you polyamorous in a polyamorous relationship right now.
No, because in order to be polyamorous, everyone has to agree.
Well, they all are agreeing. They're just not agreeing to be with each other, but they're all agreeing to be with you, and they're all agreeing to know. They all know.
I'm in a relationship with all of these people. Because then, if that's the case, what defines the relationship? Sex.
Sex. Yes, sex.
So then, I'm in a relationship with everyone I have sex with.
Well, not if it's casual sex, but if you love them, you're romantically
So
involved
if
and sexually
I
involved.
love and have sex,
If
that's
you're
a
emotionally
relationship.
and physically involved,
Okay.
ongoing. Now, if it's a friend you love and you have sex with them once, that's a friend relationship. But if you have someone who you are, friend with benefits. But if you feel that deep connection, you're co-parenting together and you're being sexual together, that is a relationship.
So then that shall be defined as polyamorous because it's multiple
people that you're in.
I come from the understanding to define me is to confine me.
What is not single to you? Married
is not single. When you allow the government and paperwork to come in and say this is a bond, this is a covenant that is honored amongst multiple people throughout the land, you're not.
And other than that, you're single.
Or you can still make covenants without getting the government involved. You can make a covenant and just say where two people say, we choose to be monogamous because we value this so much that we don't want anyone else to be a part of this or intrude this energy that we have. And I just don't feel like that's healthy. I don't feel like monogamy is healthy. I feel like that gets into the space of selfishness and ownership.
Well, it can, and it does, and it sure as hell doesn't come naturally.
So I feel like my ultimate goal, or not goal, I just feel like my trajectory in life is, I'm 41 now. As I continue, be the best father I can be. And as I get into an older age, that I'll probably just like, whoever's willing to put up with me.
That'll be the one
That'll
you
be the person
to.
who sticks
Whoever's
around.
still standing.
Because every relationship that I go into, I usually have this conversation up front. It was like, you're gonna leave. You're gonna get tired of my shit.
Yeah.
Like eventually, and hopefully by that time we've had some great experiences, some great memories, and you're a better person. And whoever comes after me. Would
so
be
you
like,
expect everyone to just
everybody.
bail. Why do you expect that?
Because look at the scenario. Who wants to put up with me for a long period of time?
Well, these women clearly are. You dickmatize them.
But
you mean once the dickmatizing's over, they might.
Or but even to that point, because they get so frustrated,
Yeah.
and then they break out.
Aww.
And it's happened every time.
And do you tell them from the beginning that you're not going to be monogamous?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think at this point, if
Everybody
you know who
knows.
Nick Cannon is, he's probably
Yeah.
a lot about me in that sense of like, yeah, I'm the guy your mom warned you about. Like, stay away from that
But you're
dude.
so sweet.
But that's like
the
I always,
oxymoron
I
of
say
it.
this all the time. I am a better friend
Yeah.
and companion than I am
A boyfriend.
relationship,
Yeah.
husband.
That
all
makes
of those.
sense. Well, I'm very grateful to be your friend and companion.
Exactly. See, you get to see this side of me. You're not worried where I am at 3 a.m. and what I'm doing.
not worried. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have to hold your feet to the fire about something.
Uh-oh.
I know I love when you do your little man panels. You know what I'm going to ask you about?
Which one? What did I say?
You said that you are anti-toy.
I am.
Nick.
No, I'm not anti-toy. I'm anti-toy in the room with me while I'm trying to please you.
Okay. So because
Go if you. First of all, I love the toy. Send me a video with you and the toy. Okay, that's what I'm gonna need.
But when you're there,
But
you
when
don't want
I'm
her to.
there, nah, because then what you're telling me is this toy can take you to a place that I can't, and it's all about quality time.
Yeah.
Because you can use that toy 23 hours of the day, but you choose to bring that toy in when I'm here.
But what if she's had like your average woman none of your baby mamas are there yet, but they will be when they reach their mid to late 40s usually. Right. They have a harder time reaching. It has nothing to do with the fabulous penis or technique. They just have a much harder time getting aroused and reaching orgasm.
See, I don't know that. This is news to me.
Added stimulation.
So okay, let me be that added stimulation. Let's figure it out. Let's challenge each other to where. I'm such a pleaser to my core. That sounds like a challenge to me. So if I'm knowing, and I've actually, because I actually do really enjoy seasoned women. I like older women and have been in scenarios to where I feel like older women are actually more comfortable and free with themselves and can be actually. So I've been in scenarios to where it's like, okay, let's go here, and everything from tantric sex to everything to being doing different things to allow you to reach a different type of orgasm. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but it sounds like what I've learned is that if something is vibrating, that's more of a clitoral stimulation. That it's almost like working out. Like it's going to be repetitive and you're going to drive you to such a place that, my brain releases something.
Yeah.
Where I don't like that type of sex. I'd rather take my time.
You like the slow burn.
Take my time. Let's connect. Let's figure out. And again, because I heard whether people believe in G-spots or internalizing things, but I feel like there's a true internal connection. That orgasm is so much better. Like just men. Like I can sit here and masturbate and get to that point in the shower. By the time I'm out the shower,
you're done.
I'm releasing. I'm done. But that is not nowhere near the type of orgasm you have when you are actually making love to someone and you guys can feel each other and you guys like your chakras are
aligned.
Yeah,
You're
to the
having
moon.
quantum
Like
sex.
that's amazing. Like that's a different feeling than me just rubbing one out. So
no, it
so
is.
I feel like that toy is the equivalent of to a woman just rubbing one out. And that's great. Rub one out when you can, but when I'm here, I want to have that quantum connection. I want to be able to be like, so
All
that's
right. So
why.
you're not opposed to toys.
Nah,
but
I just
you
don't want them
wanna-
in the room with me.
and
That's my
most-
competition.
Yeah. Well, although I did this huge national study once on what the most sexually satisfied women have in common, and it's not orgasm, ironically. It is the emotional connection they feel with the person they're having sex with.
I've learned
that
this.
most predicts, and they can't have emotional connection with a toy.
Yes.
So the toy can't compete with you there. And
Good.
Yeah. So you won't be usurped by that. But I think you're one of the rare men that probably would be willing to spend a very long time helping to get her there.
I love that. Like again, if I come and she doesn't, I feel like I failed. That's not good sex.
Yeah.
Like
Well, a
I'm
lot of
like
guys do
this
that.
is.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why women fake, because he feels that way,
Yeah.
and then she's like,
But
oh,
then it's like, nah, and before you get to faking, because we talk about that on the man panel too, let's figure out why you have to fake.
Yeah.
And let's introduce, then we can introduce whatever you need to introduce. And I've been in a scenario, I hate to say it sometimes, but like whether it's like, all right, well, we got to get the toy. You know what I mean? Like,
it's been 3 hours.
yeah,
Let's
like,
go get it.
all right, let's
But you got to give it the old college try first.
I have to. And to me, foreplay is the most exciting part.
Yeah.
And sometimes that even happens before we get to the bedroom. I want you to be, and that's how I feel like, I want you to be so turned on even before we have sex that
them lining up
by the time we get there, it's like, oh, that was good.
So you are going to have them lining up on top of your baby mamas.
Sounds like
How
a good
many
time.
more can you take?
I gotta slow down just because I as much as a sexual being as I am, I gotta be the best father I could be first and foremost.
Yeah, that's tricky to balance all of that.
The vasectomy thing is starting to sound more and more real.
Are you gonna do it?
Answer me this: have you ever? They said once a man turns 45, he probably should. Like they make you check the questionnaire, like when you are having children, like is the father
over 40?
Over 45?
Oh, because
I've created this 45-year-old mark that I gotta stop having.
That your boys may not be the best swimmers anymore.
Tip-top soldiers.
Yeah,
after
no,
45.
they aren't. They aren't. Women, they used to think it was just women who are that their eggs got sort of sticky and oldish. But it's really men too. Over their 40s, you have a higher risk for complications and development.
So I feel like after 45.
So how old are you now?
I'm 41. I'll be 42 this year.
Boy, you can do a lot of damage in 3 years, man. We may end up with another 5 or 6 kids.
Well, hey. I don't know what's gonna happen.
But here's what it sounds like happens. You meet someone, you start dating them.
I don't want to meet anyone new.
Okay, we're done with it. You're not meeting anyone new?
But it happens. I'm not looking. I don't know the last time I've been to a nightclub. I've never been on a dating app.
But when you like them, it keeps going. You use condoms. You dickmatize them. You're really liking them. You start fantasizing.
Look up
wow,
a year later.
You would be a really good mother. I really am attached to you. And then you get a little spontaneous, and then you have a baby.
I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore, though. Because I feel like I do owe all the women that are currently in my life, I owe them at least as much energy, time, and effort as I could possibly give.
And
specifically my
your kids.
More than any. I mean, that's where the guilt goes back to the guilt backpack. Like they're every time I close my eyes, I see my kids. So it's like
we got to get you spending time with all of them together, because then
and again, because I'm blessed enough to be in those positions to where I can rent out Disneyland.
Yeah.
I can rent out. You go over there to the Matterhorn. You go to Space Mountain. You guys don't even have to see each other.
And then they all play together.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely an unorthodox, non-traditional setup, but it's working.
Yeah. So what'd you say is to define you is to confine
you. To label me is to disable me. I can't. Don't put labels on me.
Yeah.
So, but it's again, I'm enjoying life. I'm happy. Again, because I've been in those spaces where it's been so dark.
Yeah.
And I've been in the hospital bed looking up. I've been depressed and feeling stuck. So the fact that I can wake up each and every day and have great conversation and make people smile and provide for others. It's a blessing.
It is a blessing, and I know you have tremendous faith. And I've watched you pray before every show with the crew. You pray with the audience.
Yeah.
And you feel such gratitude for life and the platforms you've been given and the opportunities. And, in my mind, that heart and that intention is really the gift that you get to give your children.
And I hope they receive it. And like I said, if anything I could teach my children is to be respectful and to be loving and compassionate.
Are you going to teach them to dickmatize?
the boys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to teach my daughters how not to get dickmatized.
That'll be interesting.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because we're going through this whole other concept. We won't talk about this now, Doc, but I had this stand-up joke where I always talk about, I hope all my daughters are lesbians.
So
then we have even more stuff in common.
Yeah. You'll teach them all your tricks.
Exactly. Jokes, people.
Yes,
jokes.
It's a joke. We have so much fun talking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is all. Every time I talk to you, it's so helpful. I mean, the fact that we can have discussions on multiple levels, because everything from grieving to, orgasms. Like it's not often that you can have a connection with someone.
Grieving and orgasms.
I mean, but it's
true.
real. It's real. Like from that extent, and you have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that I'm happy to be a recipient of, and to do it in front of the world. I'm open to it.
Well, I'm happy to have met you and get to benefit from being in the presence of your beautiful heart.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. It's a love fest.
It's a love fest. So thank you so much for watching The Language of Love, and stay tuned, because in the next episode, we're going to have part 2 of my conversation with Nick, where we get into not only his history of lupus, but how he uses work and his fame to sometimes run away from his feelings, how he manages all of that, and his insights into his own mental health journey. So it'll stay interesting, and don't forget to leave your comments below and subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as that episode releases.